Randy Boissonnault is Canada's Minister of Tourism. He joins me now from the foyer of the House of Commons tonight to talk about the problems with air travel and the impact on Canadian tourism. Minister, good to see you again. You're in the middle of this airport chaos as Canada's Minister of Tourism, responsible for a sector that's been battered by the pandemic and is hoping for a big rebound this summer, and that's being jeopardized by the problems at the major airports. What's your reaction to what you're seeing? Let's start there.
Well, thanks for this opportunity, Peter. It's great to see you again. I'm going to be really blunt. I'm not happy with what's going on. We're leaning in on this every day. I work with Minister Alghabra, Minister Duclos, Minister Mendicino, and as you'll note, the announcement from last week with the pausing of random mandatory testing, and now, as of July 1st, moving that off-site. It's a good step in the right direction to make sure that we have increased flow, particularly at Pearson. There's a little bit of an issue at Vancouver, but quite frankly, I want to make sure that people have a seamless traveler experience and coordination in the system. What do I mean by that? The government's got to be at the table. We've got to make sure that the departments are being financed. We're doing that. We've got to make sure people are hired. We've got to work with the airlines and the airport authorities. The Greater Toronto Airport Authority has sent us a letter appreciating the steps that we're taking. There's a surge at Pearson, and I think we're looking at, sometimes at peak Pearson, and so we've got to get those bottlenecks out of the system. We've got to get people on the move. Peter, we had 22 million people here in 2019. I would say we're getting to about half to maybe 60% of the capacity. We've got to do better because I want people to come to Canada and remember their destination, not the experience they had at the airport.
Oh, okay, so as you try to make progress on this and sort of move this thing along, what's your understanding now of what's causing the biggest problem?
Well, I think we've got an issue of, we didn't have enough staff, and so we've addressed that with 865 CATSA members. 400 were already in the system. We've added 465. We've accelerated their training so that they can be on the front lines. And CATSA, just for people wondering what that acronym is, these are the people that process us when we get to the airport, that get us through the security screening. That's really important to get people on their way through the system. The other side is the Canadian Border Security Association, and making sure that our CBSA officers are able to make sure that they process people quickly when they come into the country. So it's about getting Canadians and travelers out of the country, but it's also making sure that we don't have those bottlenecks when people are coming into the country.
What kind of, and I must be asking a lot here, but what kind of guarantees can you give the traveling public, domestic passengers or foreign passengers, as we head into what's hoped to be a busy tourism season? But at this point, looking at these images and what's happening in Canada, why would anyone fly here if they're going to be treated like this?
Well, they're going to fly to Canada because we have the safest jurisdiction in the world to travel to. We have some of the greatest wide open spaces, fabulous cities, amazing tourism attractions, Indigenous tourism opportunities. So there's a lot that people want to see in Canada, Peter, and a lot of Canadians want to travel around the country again after being in their apartments or their homes or their basements during COVID. And my job as tourism minister, and my colleagues are taking this very seriously. That's why we made the announcement on Friday that at this particular part of June, we're going to make sure that where people used to get the random testing, that space is freed up, that personnel is freed up. We're going to reduce the congestion, and we're going to keep making moves so that, particularly at Pearson, but in other gateway cities, we're going to be able to keep people on the move. And Peter, I think that's another issue. We've got to look at getting people into the country from more than just one main airport. So Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Halifax, Winnipeg, let's have more flights. And the airlines control this. We don't control this as the government. But we need to have the airlines actually look at their capacity and start bringing Canadians in and travelers in to Canada from other points of entry.
You touched on capacity here. Let's talk about that for a moment. Sure. Air Canada has already said it'll reduce summer capacity by 20% compared to pre-pandemic levels. Some experts are now suggesting, look, you need to take measures to order the airlines to throttle back the number of passengers they'll carry until there's the staffing and infrastructure in place to deal with the higher volumes. What about that? Is that a possible solution?
Well, I'm not going to say that we should slow down the number of people here. I don't want to see 2,500 flights canceled like happened in the U.S. I already saw 2 Sundays ago when I was at Pearson coming in from Edmonton, over a dozen flights canceled, and I took photos of the whole matter, and I saw how many people were in the line, and it's completely unacceptable. And I don't want Canadians going through that. I don't want international visitors or Canadians coming home spending 15 minutes, let alone 3 hours on the tarmac.
Right, but as long as airlines continue to fly the numbers of people they're flying and to offer those kinds of, I'm getting emails every day about the special summer flight rates and so on, but the infrastructure is not there right now to handle it. So What makes you think the flights won't continue to be canceled or delayed and planes won't keep sitting on tarmacs?
It's a coordination issue. We're working with the airlines, the airports, and all of my colleagues, all of the different departments to get this work done and to get it right. And I can say that, airlines have a responsibility to make sure that they're fully staffed up as well. So that means, across the system. You've seen the labor issues we've had in the country. So it means that private sector organizations, private sector companies have to pay people what they're worth to make sure that they come to work and stay at work and grow great careers. On the government side, I'm going to make sure that the financing's there, working with my colleagues to make sure that the people are there so that we have a great seamless traveler experience this summer.
Is it time to drop vaccine mandates and the requirement for the Arrive Canada app? That's what many of your critics have been calling for.
I thought you might ask me that question, Peter. Look, if vax mandates were what's causing the issue, we would see this at every airport and all of the airports that I mentioned before and more. It's not. We've got a congestion issue at Pearson. We've got a little bit of stickiness at Vancouver. It's not a system-wide issue. And as I said when I became Minister of Tourism, safety first, then travel. So I don't know what COVID's going to throw at us this fall. Peter, I've had it, but I'm done with the whole COVID pandemic experience. We're going to keep Canadians safe, and we're going to do the right thing.
All right. Minister of Tourism, Randy Boissonnault. Good to talk to you again, Minister.
Thanks,
Take
Peter.
care.
All the best.